Hey everyone, Shadow SP here. Um, looking at Granblue Fantasy. Alright, so today, this video, at the very least, it's just a progress report. Because we've done a lot of stuff. Alright, so we've cleared a lot of side stories. Basically, this, from Duelist of Eternity, Defender's Oath, Borderlands of Fallen Land, Frost and Flame. We have 2 Tales of collabs and the Code Geass collab. All of those were cleared off screen between the last story video and the last progress video, actually. Think about it. And now, so a lot of things have happened. So let's look over our spoils. Alright, I can do this. SSR. Sort by acquired. Okay. So, last we were here, we acquired this Yggdrasil sword. The last thing we got in the SSR department on screen. After that, these 4 weapons are all from Tales of collab. One or the other. The first 2 are from the first one, the second 2 are from the second one. They're pretty much filler weapons. The only thing that's kind of interesting is the fact that the dark weapon here is a katana. So if we had a katana main hand class, we could use it for that, but we currently don't, so it doesn't do anything. Yeah. Other than that, the other notable weapons are ones that are EX. Right, we've got this this wind bow. This is actually a pretty good bow. It's not perfect, but it can be uncapped to 4 stars, so it has some longevity to it. And we'll get to it eventually for the uncap, but right now it costs a little bit too much investment to really bother with it. We got this harp, which is great because it gives us a harp main hand that actually does something. Because I think that the frog bell, right? This is also a harp. But this harp main hand has 2 skills, so the debuff success rate up is actually pretty huge, because the one thing that'll kill you is missing debuffs. If you really need to hit debuffs and you miss them, you're not going to have a good time. The other things that are of note are I spent a little bit of time to grind up and purchase 2 weapons. I purchased this gauntlets from one of the first Tales of collab, and I purchased this because light main hands and dark main hands are kind of hard to get right now. Right, we haven't really found any in our journey, in our playthrough, and we'll get better ones in the future. Right, this gauntlets is just a filler weapon. It doesn't have a second skill. It can't be uncapped, so I'm probably just going to leave it at level 1 with 1 copy, and eventually get rid of it once we get something better. And then on the other hand, we got this one, which is Luna's friend, which is from the Shadowverse collab. It actually has 2 skills, and this weapon actually has some teeth to it, because it can get up to 4 stars, and it's got a boost to skill cap for our Dark Allies. So if we end up with an ability to really use skill damage a lot, then this weapon could be a pretty stable part of our grids. I think summon-wise, mostly was not relevant. I think the most relevant thing we get is Dragon Knights, which is another summon that can be uncapped 4 stars. There is a good summon in the Code Geass collab, but you have to actually farm the event currency for it. And I've been, when I've been farming event currency, I've been spending on other stuff for now. That other stuff, specifically, being CP, because while I was doing event clears and farming, I farmed up all the row 1 classes, leveled them all the way up to level 20, and have farmed up a few row 2 classes. My next immediate goal, as soon as we finish leveling up with the cleric one more time to 20, is to unlock Holy Saber. The reason for this is basically no other class that we would have access to can do the thing that Holy Saber does, which is Phalanx 2, 70% damage cut, mixed with potentially Substitute to take damage for the team, and with the support skill of Aegis Boon, when we use Substitute, our main character gets a 50% damage cut. So we actually can just fully face tank any random targeted hits. And basically no other class that we would have access to for a little while can do that. Alright, so let's look at the characters that we picked up. Because, again, a pretty good number of them. Alright, so last time we were here, the last character we got was Rosetta. Story character, so we'll go after that. We have 3 Tales of side story characters. All 3 of these are very fillery. They basically just have 3 skill nuke attacks. There's 3 skill nuke skills that don't have too many other effects. So basically put them in your party if you need to fill the slot, but otherwise there are a lot of better options. The second Tales of collab has a couple more interesting characters. Stan down here, the fire one, is the same as the first set, just skill nukes, and otherwise particularly uninteresting. We have something interesting here on Elise. So we have 2 pretty interesting skills. One is a delay. So having a delay is pretty useful. Also, this character has a revive skill. Now, we haven't had access to a revive skill at all yet, and we still don't until she hits level 35. But when you do, basically, if a character hits 0 HP and they swap out, you can revive them with a revive skill, and they'll be placed in the back line. And this kind of skill is kind of rare, so there may be times when Elise comes into play and is useful. Then we have Tyr, who has a little bit of utility with the charge skill. So you can transfer a charge bar from her to somebody else, and a pretty decent heal. It's not amazing, and also her special attack has a 20% damage cut, so that's pretty good for when you're fighting dark enemies. Otherwise, she's not the best, but she is functional. And then we move on to the good stuff, which are these SSR characters from the Code Geass collab. The big winner is actually Lelouch, but we have not had really a chance to field a dark team yet, so he hasn't gotten any levels. Yeah, basically if I'm ranking them in terms of power, it's Lelouch, Kallen, and then Suzaku. But they're all relatively powerful compared to what we had up until now, right? Kallen's just a really strong attacker that has a gravity effect, blind, and hit to multi-attack. That's a lot of utility that our, random SR characters don't have. Lelouch has, defense down, big buffs to allies. This Chessmaster skill that he has does a lot of stuff when your opponent or when your foe uses their special attacks, right? And it's really strong. And He also has a passive that boosts all allies' attack based on how high his HP is. So he's really good for pumping up the team's damage. And then Suzaku is, I think he's fairly straightforward. The best thing he has is a substitute. And a passive ability to take one leaf away, which is pretty good. I mean, if you're gonna substitute, take a bunch of damage, and it makes it really nice to have an ability to not die from that damage. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's pretty straightforward. He's got 2 skill nukes. One of them gives him tank encounter. The other one does cost HP to use, so you might have to be careful using it, but it is pretty strong because it gives him a buff to increase his damage. Alright, then move on to a couple more interesting characters. Arisa's fairly straightforward. This skill does nothing, sort of. It does boost your special attack damage and damage cap, but otherwise it doesn't do anything. Up until 4 stacks, I think it was, or is it 3? I think it's 3 stacks. Yeah, something down here. Yeah, so this is a very straightforward character, but it does have a stack down, so there's some utility for survivability. Luna, on the other hand, is a very strange character. Basically, when a character dies, she gets a shadow, and you need to have shadows to use her second and third abilities. And her first ability only has the effect of killing one of your frontline characters, which sounds dumb, but it can be useful depending on what you're trying to do. I don't know if we'll reach the point where we're actually able to make use of this, but if we do, Luna is a character that I have used in specific niche setups on my main account for harder content. Basically, there ends up being a summon that you can summon in Dark that instantly knocks out the character in your 4th position. So if you put Luna there, you can actually have Luna kill one of your other allies, which swaps in your first backliner. Then you summon that summon, and Luna goes away, and you get your second backliner. So if you need 2 people to swap in, and you can use the first person that you KO to stack up buffs, right? So like there's utility to it, but it's pretty rare that it's useful and pretty niche. Then we just have 3 characters from the Knights side stories. I don't think any of these are particularly good. They are usable filler, right? Like Vayne, he's got buffs, and Reflection does cause damage reduction, so that is pretty useful for survival. Lancelot, he does have an attack defense lower, attack defense debuff, and he does have this 3rd skill which makes him deal multi-attacks, which is pretty good at this stage, right? When we don't have that much innate multi-attack or anything to go around. Then we got Percival, who has, again, deal multi-attacks, but this time on 2nd skill, so he can use it without being uncapped, and just a plain skill nuke and a plain strength buff, which is increases attack based on high HP values. So yeah, I think that covers the characters, weapons, and the summons. We've cleared, content-wise, we've cleared all the hard mode raids for Tiamat Showdown, Colossus Showdown, Leviathan Showdown, and Yggdrasil Showdown. It would be nice to be able to clear the Tiamat Omega Showdown, stuff like that, but I don't think we're quite ready for that yet. I think our next step will be moving forward in the story, just so that we can get access to the light and dark basic raids. Get a few more weapons. Get a little bit more materials. Maybe get a little bit more C key so that we can unlock some more classes. I think also another thing that we would like to do that would really help is start on seraphic weapons. Now these are actually not all that expensive. You can see I'm pretty close to getting the fire one. This red tome. You can get these from cerulean stones if you're rolled over, but you probably shouldn't use your cerulean stones like that. You can just go to quests and do the fire trial. I've been avoiding these because they're on half AP, so I'm trying to not do that. Yeah, I may do it eventually just because I've run out of patience, and the fact of the matter is that the anniversary is coming up, so the campaign for half AP is probably going to keep going for quite a long time. But yeah, you'll see I'm pretty close to getting these weapons, and what these weapons do is they have amplify, basically when you correctly elemental advantage against a foe, you just deal more damage. It's a final damage multiplier that's applied to your damage. I think, what's the SR version, 15%? Something like that. It's pretty significant. These weapons will end up being useful from the moment you get them, basically till the end of the game. Right, now, we can't get light and dark yet. Right, these require you to do a side story. When we get there, we'll do this side story. But this Paradise Lost requires you get to, I think, chapter 54 or something like that, which is a decent amount in the future. So, if we just get the Tetra Elements ones as soon as possible, that would be helpful for our capabilities to clear the Omega series grades, which is the first major hurdle toward actual constructive grid building. It would be, I'm planning on, once we are able to clear one of those raids, talking about grid building, and after we can clear one of those raids, we are able to open it up to the public, but we have to clear it solo first. Right? We have to make sure it's not an RNG clear. Right? It's got to be a convincing win. Okay. I think another thing that is a goal that we're going to be moving toward kind of long term is a class. Our major goal that we want to have for the long term is a Row 4 class, Relic Buster, because Relic Buster is an unusual class in that it doesn't take any CP to unlock it. Right? You see, it only requires these synchronicity cores. Right? If we were looking at a different Row 4 class, this requires 4,000 CP and some treasure and the trophy. Right? But Relic Buster only requires these cores, and these cores we can get in the treasure shop. Right? And we can look at that over here. Basically, go to event other exclusive treasure. Hold on. There. And then it is under this tab, Home Sweet Moon, the synchronicity cores. Now, I've been doing side story challenge content, which is pretty easy. It's basically just puzzles. And those give these blue sky crystals. The other way to get blue sky crystals is from co-op. I'll show that in a second. And then there's it. We'll need to get the silver centrum, which we can get because of eventually because of the premium Friday shrimp. So if we spend time, we'll eventually be able to get silver centrums without clearing the raids that drop which is a good thing because the raids that drop silver centrums are very much out of our league right now. Right, we'd eventually be able to clear it, but probably not for a very long time. And Relic Buster is a pretty strong class that we would really like to have access to before we get to that point. Now, when we're talking about blue sky crystals, we can go to co-op and look at the missions. If you do all of these daily missions in co-op, you get a blue sky crystal. I'll talk more about doing co-op solo later, because we will have to do that at some point, but not right now. We're nowhere near ready for that. Yeah, I think that about covers everything that I wanted to talk about in this update. We're kind of stockpiling on these pendants, doing the raids that we can every day. And when we get to the grid building stage, or when we're trying to clear one of the Omega raids, I might have to spend these pendants. But when I do, I'll make sure to make a video about it and talk about why I'm doing it. But for now, basically, every pendant that I've obtained from the missions has gone straight into the stockpile. So, I think that's everything. Moving forward, once we get past this point in the side story timeline, it's a little bit of time before we get to a side story that's relevant, right? Basically everything from this point, chapter 16, past chapter 16, is very fillery in terms of grid slots. Now you can look at the side stories when you get there, look at the elements of weapons that you can get access to, the call effects of the summons. Is that summon something that you would be interested in slotting in your grid? And make the decision at that point, do I want to clear this, right? Now, I'm probably going to end up... And the other thing that you take into account is the element of the character, right? Be like, oh, I need a light character, let me do this side story here, even if this light character isn't the best, right? Yeah, so it's going to be a little while before we get to another side story that is a must clear. But when we get there, it'll be pretty useful. Now, I'm still going to clear the side stories, because having more characters is good, because having options is good, having more weapons is good, for a couple reasons. I'll talk more about some of those later, but making sure that our grids are all single element is our next main goal. Right, so when we look at this, we have a bunch of off-element crap in our grids. Right, this gun, this stick, this sword, none of these should be here if we're making an ideal weapon setup. Every weapon should have skills that boost water in our water team. So that's what I'm going to end up moving forward in the future. We'll get there eventually. It just takes time and dedication. And lots of raid flares. But for now, we don't have those. We'll get there. It'll happen. So, I think since I've covered everything, oh yeah, one more thing, not related to this account. When you make a new account, you get this 10 free 10 draws. Make sure to do these. They do expire. I'm not going to do them, But if you make a new account and you're not doing a challenge like this, just make sure to do these because they will probably help you. They will give you lots of weapons. You know, probably some characters. A lot of them will. The characters that you'd get would probably be better than the ones that we have. So yeah, it's worth doing, especially since it's free. And also, if you have if you're playing during a campaign like we're in right now, we can't actually see it because we never hit the welcome draw. But if you're playing as part of a campaign, make sure to do those daily draws. Right? It's free. It will only help you. Yeah. So I think that about covers it for now. So next on the docket is a playthrough of the next story segment. So I will see you guys then. Signing off.